Former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett joins us now to discuss. Mr. Bennett, Israeli officials have been meeting for several hours today to discuss Israel's response. You've been in that room before. Walk us through what options they're likely looking at, and how would you urge a response to this attack if you were still Prime Minister?
Sure. Well, first of all, yesterday's attack in defense is almost unprecedented. Iran lobbed about 330 cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones to Israel from all directions. And we managed to intercept almost 99% of them, but some did hit Israel. And right now, a 7-year-old Arab girl is badly injured, fighting for her life, and doctors are trying to save her. We've got to respond. The response needs to be decisive and surprising in terms of the timing, the target, the technique. What we're going to look at in terms of considerations is the fact that we can't have the region assume that you can shoot 330 rockets to Israel and get away with it. At the same time, we need to maximize our alliance against Iran and the Iranian axis. So we're going to have to balance the two of these.
The National Security Minister, the ultranationalist Itamar Ben-Gvir, says that Israel should, quote, go crazy, unquote, in retaliation for the attack. Netanyahu, obviously under a lot of pressure from the far right of his coalition, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich, etc. Do you think he should listen to them? I know that they're not members of the war cabinet, but they are members of the cabinet. Do you think he should listen to them?
I think the government and the prime minister have to focus only on what's right for Israel and the region and divorce themselves from any political considerations. And that's what's going to happen. I can tell you that now I think the world is realizing that Iran is a global octopus of terror, each time using a different tentacle of his to apply terror, sometimes in Europe, sometimes in Israel. It could be from Hezbollah, it could be from Hamas, the Houthis, sometimes in the Red Sea. Ultimately, the Islamic Republic of Iran is a regime that is destined to collapse. It will collapse. Yesterday, it incurred a historic failure, because I want you to understand, when it sends all types of weapons from all directions, it didn't just use cruise missiles, it didn't just use ballistic missiles, it used the mix of it precisely in order to punch its way through to Israel, and it was a disastrous failure for Iran. But that's not enough. We're going to have to ultimately bring this horrible regime down.
I want to read a tweet by former U.S. Middle East envoy Dennis Ross. He said, quote, in 1991, Saddam Hussein of Iraq hit Israel with Scud missiles, and the U.S. said, don't play into his hands by turning the world against Saddam into an Arab-Israel war. And now some will say, don't play into Yahya Sinwar's hands, that's the head of Hamas, with a response that creates a regional war instead of finishing the war in Gaza, unquote. I guess the point he's making there is that Saddam was trying to bait Israel into an overreaction, but Israel didn't take the bait in 1991. Do you agree with that analogy?
No, I don't. In that analogy, the world was actively fighting Saddam Hussein. It really was not a war about Israel. In this case, Iran deliberately shot these 300 missiles towards Israel. And I'd ask any of your listeners and watchers right now, what would America do if someone shot 300 cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones on American soil, even if you intercepted most of them? How would America respond? And I think that's exactly what we need to do.
All right, Naftali Bennett, thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it.